Could have your attention here in the media center. We are now joined by Chase Elliott, driver of the number 9 Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. And of course, being from Dawsonville, Georgia, very popular around these parts. And so before we get started with your media availability today, Dustin here at the Speedway has something very special for you.
All right.
Didn't make it here in time last week on Tuesday.
Should I be concerned?
No. Last week on Tuesday, it didn't make it in time with all the Lucky Charms we had, but the University of Georgia sent us
That's awesome.
a number,
Yeah, very cool.
number 9 for Chase.
Very cool. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
So good luck this weekend.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. It's awesome.
It's a pretty cool deal. I mean, not only you
Yeah.
get the Georgia jersey, but I mean, you're here. Napa Auto Parts is here. You have Hooters. You have Kelly Blue Book, all located in
Yeah.
Atlanta. So you're a busy guy when you come here.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. You know, all of our, or not all, but the majority of our partners are based here in Atlanta. So good to have that kind of home connection with them and good fit. So yeah, really neat. Thanks again to the folks at Atlanta for doing this for me. It's awesome. Big Georgia fan. So great to see.
Okay, let's open the floor up for questions. You have a question for Chase, please raise your hand. We will get a wireless microphone to you. We'll start with Bob and then go to Matt.
Bob Hawker, CSPN. What was the best Lucky Charm that was sent, and did you have any qualms with them doing a promotion over the fact you hadn't won?
No, I didn't have any issues with it. It was, I feel like a nice gesture, you know, more than anything. So, man, there were a lot of teddy bears. I felt like sent in a lot of St. Patrick Day, you know, charm items sent in. So hard to pick one, but no, I thought it was I think it's a cool deal, and you know, I appreciate everyone's support for jumping on board and being willing to support something like that. It's pretty cool.
Go next to Matt and then to Jeff.
Matt Weaver, AutoWeek.com. 2 questions for you. First one, I know that you're very partial to this racetrack for geographic reasons, but also just from a racer's standpoint. But when it comes time to repave this place or resurface it, which is probably inevitable, do you have any sort of suggestions or ideas when it comes to what aggregate they should use or how they should pave it, anything that would kind of bring this track back quicker?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you know, everybody says it's inevitable. I don't really know why. You know, I've visited a lot of tracks over the years that, you know, have had the ability to patch and do good patchwork and kind of fix their problems, and still to this day haven't been paved. So, you know, I think if we're smart enough to do a lot of things, we ought to be smart enough to be able to patch some issues in the track and let it keep on riding.
And the other question, I don't know how much time you've spent around Spencer Davis, but he grew up in Dawsonville. You've raced against him a ton, made his Truck Series debut last week. Just what are your thoughts on Spencer and what he brings to the table?
Yeah, no, I think I don't know Spencer personally, but I have raced with him a lot, as you said, and he's always been a really good racer. I feel like he's always kind of overachieved with what he's had to work with, which is impressive. You know, a lot of people don't do that. So I'm glad to see he's getting an opportunity in something that he deserves to be driving, and I expect him to do really well throughout the season. I don't think Daytona is a fair judge, but I think once we get to some other places, I expect him to do well, and nobody in here should be surprised if he has some good success. Yep.
We'll go to Jeff and then to Jacob.
Chase, Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. If you had to guess, what's your prediction for the inspection thing today? Like, are we going to see a bunch of teams waiting in a line? They're like, oh, you can't go out and qualify, or everybody going to get through no problem?
Well, we're supposed to have limited the inspection process by a lot, and what is it supposed to be? What, 90 seconds? Is that what it's supposed to be? Is that right? I see a lot of head nods. So, yeah, I mean, if everybody gets through in 90 seconds, we shouldn't have any issues, right?
Jacob?
Jacob Zillman, Race Chaser Online Performance Motorsports Network. Chase, I know restrictor plate tracks don't necessarily give a good feel for what we're going to see out of the new Camaro for the balance of the schedule. Here, Vegas, that's kind of the litmus test. How are you anticipating this going for the new car, and what are you expecting? I mean, I know this is one area where Chevy has worked a lot to try and close that gap.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it goes really well. You know, I think that First off, I don't think it's really fair for us to show up here at Atlanta and everybody get a judgment on where we stack up here. This is our first go at it, as well as everybody else's. You know, we saw other manufacturers come here last year, being their first week, and didn't necessarily fire off the best, but were the best before it was over with. So I think that you have to give it a little bit of time. You have to work through some of the things. That the bodies are different. You know, that means you're going to see different numbers in the wind tunnel. That means your balance sheets and your sims that you work on the computer, all that stuff's going to be different. And you know, I hope we hit it this weekend. Don't get me wrong. I'm not making an excuse. You know, either it'll be good or it won't. But you know, I think that we have to work through some of the differences, and we've seen some of those differences today. No reason why we can't fix it, though, I don't think, and try to, you know, get it as good as we can and hopefully better than the rest.
We'll go to the young lady there on the right.
Hi, Ashton Long from The Prowler. My question is, what advice do you have for young drivers going into this sport?
I think just stick with it. You know, I think that, you know, that you're not always going to be faced with the best opportunities, or you could have situations where, you know, there's some uncertainty, I feel like, as you move forward. To me, I think Alex Bowman has been a good kind of representation of that. He ran a couple years in a car that, you know, really had about a 0% chance of winning races, and found himself in the right position at the right time and taking over for Dale Jr. before it was all said and done. So I have a lot of respect for him in that sense, and I think he's a good example to look at.
Go next to Christian.
Christian Coley, frontstretch.com and the Motorsports News Source. Chase, my question is, there was a lot of speeding penalties last year. Can you talk to us about how you felt like that played an impact in the race last year, and how you think that it may play an impact on Sunday's race if it happens?
I don't think you'll see as many speeding penalties Sunday. As the year went along last year, NASCAR opened up the ability to look at pit road speeds throughout practice. I can't remember if we had that ability here last year or not, but this was also one of it was early on in the times where they were doubling the timing segments. So I think it was a little new to everyone. And I can't remember, you know, if we didn't have the ability to look at it in practice, I think that was probably the reason why we had so many speeding penalties in the race. But something was definitely different. You know, all that stuff doesn't just happen. You know, when it's a consistent thing, there is something that has changed, right? And the teams miss. So I think we've been used to the added timing segments for, you know, a while now, and B, having the ability to look at it in practice, you really have no excuse. You know, if you're hitting your lights properly, obviously you can still make a mistake in speed, but no reason why the calculation shouldn't be proper.
We'll go to Nate, then to Bob, then to Jessica.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Chase, understanding why you want to caution waiting on evaluating where you guys might stack up until maybe a few races down the road. After the restructuring that Hendrick went through there during the offseason, is there a lot of anticipation to see where you stack up, and when do you think like that evaluation makes sense? Do you wait until 4 or 5 races after the West Coast swing, or?
Yeah, I think get through the West Coast swing. I mean, I think that you know, and maybe even a little bit after that, because the thing about the West Coast swing is a lot of those cars are already prepared to go west. So things that we may learn this weekend might not have the ability to be applied to a race car that we're racing next weekend, because that car is pretty much done, and it's got to be driving west here early this week, right? So I think once you get back from there and you kind of evaluate where you are, hopefully you can put some of the things you've learned towards those weeks. But if it's bigger changes and things that you need, you know, days in the shop to do, you're not going to be able to make those changes until you get back. So, or at least some of the bigger ones. So we'll see. You know, I think after the West Coast swing is a good time to evaluate. You might not get all the changes you want in by then, but a good time to look and see where you're at. Yeah. I mean, I think there's anticipation anyway. You know, we want to, you know, we want to do better. You know, in general, you know, our team wants to do better. A lot of change. I think, you know, there has potential to be a lot of positive things going on, and you know, at the end of the day, we all want results, right? So you want to see the changes and the things that we've done to end up in positive results. And I think that we have all the pieces in place to do just that. It's just a matter of execution at this point, and going and putting all the pieces together and hope that they fall right.
Go next to Bob, then to Jessica.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. Did you watch the rest of the Daytona 500, or were you too frustrated to watch? And also, did you have to do any apologizing or smoothing of emotions from other competitors, or is that just the nature of restrictor plate racing?
I didn't get a chance to watch it. I was, once I got through the care center and whatnot, by the time I got to the airport to leave, it was right at being over, I would say. So, no, it wasn't that I was too frustrated to watch it. I think I just was ready to go home more than anything. So, and no, I think that, sure, there's going to be frustration. I was frustrated. I think everybody was frustrated. We just got past the halfway point, and, half the field got crashed in one wreck, and unfortunately I was the guy that was ahead of the rest of them. So, I can definitely take some blame for it. I think that it's so circumstantial, though, and I think it's so hard to point fingers in those situations. Everybody's trying to take advantage of situations, and if you don't take advantage of a situation, you're going to get taken advantage of by somebody else. And I think that everybody was being aggressive. I certainly was, but I know that the whole field was all day, and you have to kind of set that precedent, because if you let a guy run over you or make a move on you, he's going to count on that every time. So I just think you have to, do what you think's right, go with your gut, and it didn't work out last weekend, but I don't. I think it's hard to point fingers in an incident like that. I was, yeah, definitely. That was. I feel a lot better now, and I feel 100%, so I'm good.
Jessica?
Jessica Rev with NASCAR.com. So many drivers love coming to Atlanta, saying it's kind of a racer's type track. For you personally, why do you enjoy racing here?
I think that being the case, I think that this is a track where you can have your car driving good, and you might be able to make up a deficit that you might be fighting somewhere else, or have somebody have an advantage on you. So I just think having the ability to go out and practice and your feedback, I feel like it's just worth a little more here. And I think that a lot of guys feel that way. And as you run a race, how you drive your car at the first half of the run can affect how your performance is going to be in the second half of the run. And a lot of places that's not the case either. So it's just a fun place to come. I think anywhere where, you run 3 or 4 laps and the lap times have fallen off, significantly like they are here all the time. I think that makes it fun. It makes it fun from a strategy standpoint. It makes it fun for the racers. That being the biggest reason.
Now, Chase, before we let you go, tomorrow you're going to be in the broadcast booth for FS1's coverage of the NASCAR Xfinity Series race. What's your preparation like to get ready for that?
Well, luckily, I got to talk to Adam Alexander a little bit this morning, and I did it last year, and honestly, those guys are so good at it. Especially him. He does a really good job with it, and he's gotten used to having guests, I think, in the booth. So he does a great job of throwing it to you at the right times and not making it awkward, and allowing me to give some input when I need to and keep my mouth shut when I need to as well. So I do want to thank Fox for letting me get on there and do that tomorrow. I'm excited about it. They're also going to show a little bit of our foundation stuff this weekend again, and we're doing our shoe program with all 4 Hendrick drivers in coordination with the Children's Health Care of Atlanta for proceeds going to them and auction our shoes off that we're wearing this weekend. So thanks to them for kind of letting us get that on TV too, and I'm excited to hopefully not mess up the broadcast tomorrow. We'll see.
Good deal. Good luck with everything.
Yep. All right,
Take care
thanks.
now.